John here from Great Lakes Country. I do a lot of outdoor cooking, and a great deal of that cooking is done in a trusty cast iron Dutch oven. And I've been asked many times over the years, generally by people who are new to Dutch oven cooking or are interested in trying it, what size and style of Dutch oven they should buy. There are a ton of different sizes and configurations out there, and if you've never used one before, it may not be very obvious which one to start with. So in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the pros, cons, and features of a few different Dutch ovens and make a recommendation for which one I think you should buy if you're just starting out. At this moment, I have 3 Dutch ovens that I use in my normal rotation, and between them, I can cook anything and everything that I want. So let's talk about each one and what I use it for. And by the way, in case it's not clear, we're talking specifically about camp Dutch ovens, not the shiny enamel Dutch ovens. We're talking about black cast iron Dutch ovens that have a flat lid with a tall lip around it that holds coals in place. Hopefully, if you're at the point of considering a specific size, you already knew that. Moving on. First up, this is my 7-quart extra deep Dutch oven with flat bottom. It's 12 inches in diameter and 6 inches deep. This is actually the first Dutch oven I ever owned, and I've been using it steadily for about 20 years. I consider this my all-around go-to for a bunch of different cooks. It's the perfect size for all manner of soups, stews. It's nice and deep, but not so humongous or heavy that it's hard to handle. It's also great for roasting. The extra depth keeps the top coals a good distance away from the meat, giving me consistent heat without worrying about overcooking or burning the top. This thing is perfect for a chicken or a couple Cornish hens, a pot roast with vegetables, pork chops. I'd say that most of my Dutch oven needs are met by this guy right here. It's just the perfect size and shape for meals for, I'd say, between 1 and 4 people. Next up is my 4-quart standard depth Dutch oven, also with a flat bottom. Measuring in at 10 inches in diameter and 3.5 inches deep, this one is obviously a bit smaller. I use this Dutch oven mainly for things like casseroles, cobblers, cakes, or anything else that covers the entire surface of the oven and from which I will ultimately need to remove slices. That extra deep cast iron Dutch oven makes it a bit trickier to precisely remove a wedge of cornbread or a nice serving of casserole without sort of mangling the thing trying to get it out of there. This Dutch oven is pretty shallow, which makes that sort of thing much easier. But of course, because of that, I need to be a little more careful with my top coals because that heat is much closer to the cooking food. And the smaller oven is obviously great if I only need to make a small batch of basically anything. If I'm just cooking for myself, I can throw a couple pieces of chicken in there with some vegetables or whatever. Cast iron is heavy, so I don't hate it when I can use one of the smaller, lighter pieces like this one. Last up, the exact opposite of small and light. I've got my monstrous 10-quart extra deep Dutch oven with legs. This baby is 14 inches across, 5.5 inches deep, and weighs a whopping 28 pounds. This Dutch oven comes into play when I simply need more room to fit a particular piece of meat or when I'm cooking for a bunch of people and I need an absolute cauldron of food. Definitely the least convenient to use and clean due to its size and weight. I can fit absolutely monstrous pieces of meat in this thing, a pork loin, maybe even a turkey if I spatchcocked it first. This Dutch oven also features these 3 incorporated legs, which is a pretty common thing to see on Dutch ovens these days. The other 2 ovens I showed both had flat bottoms, which is what I actually prefer. I personally don't really like the built-in legs for a couple reasons. First, they add bulk and weight, which makes it just that much harder to store and transport. Second, the legs are simply too short to actually be of any use, in my opinion. I could jam a few hot coals under those little 1.5-inch legs, but then I'd just be frying whatever's in the pot. You gotta get some more distance between the coals and the bottom of the Dutch oven, which is why we use these things like stands and trivets like this. Third, those narrow pointy legs cause more problems than they solve. Imagine this 28-pound oven filled with 10 pounds of food. I set this thing on some soft ground and it's going to start sinking into the dirt. Then I pick this whole thing up and set it on my wooden table, and now I've got 3 pointy dents in my table. I just plain don't care for these legs, and I'm not sure I've actually heard from anyone who does. I've considered cutting them off with an angle grinder, but I'm afraid I'll screw it up and permanently damage the underside of the Dutch oven. So, oh well. So I guess that about covers what I wanted to talk about with these 3 Dutch ovens that I use for basically everything. Consider how many people you're likely to be feeding and what sort of things you want to cook. Think about the weight factor and if you're comfortable with moving around a 28-pound Dutch oven that doesn't even have any food in it yet. Determine if you want a flat bottom or, for mysterious reasons that I definitely need you to explain to me, prefer the 3 terrible legs. And consider the cost. If you're just getting into outdoor cooking and want to give it a try, you can snag a 4-quart Dutch oven for about $35. But if you want one of these 10-quart monstrosities, that's going to be about $100. At the beginning of the video, I said that I'd recommend a Dutch oven for someone just starting out. In my opinion, the obvious choice is something like my 7-inch deep Dutch oven. Because, like I said, it's my go-to for the majority of things I cook. It's a great jack-of-all-trades Dutch oven, and it's a great place to start. Now, this particular one was made by Coleman, and I don't think they even make these anymore. But there's a lot of manufacturers out there, and I recommend finding one that's around 7 quarts and has the deeper sides like this one. I wish I had an exact make and model to tell you, but I hate to recommend a brand that I've never used. I am seeing some of these old Colemans for sale on eBay, and I'm actually half tempted to go grab another one. Lodge does sell a bunch of different sizes, but some of them are really shallow in my opinion. Not to mention, they are big fans of adding on those built-in legs. Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest stuff, including future cast iron and outdoor cooking videos. And a big thank you to all the Patreon subscribers who really go the extra mile to support this channel and help me keep making these videos week after week. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm John, and this is Great Lakes Country.